Let's return now to the Middle East and the Israeli Prime Minister's office insisting that Israel will make decisions based on its own national interest after a US media report suggested Benjamin Netanyahu had opted against a future attack on Iranian oil or nuclear sites. Let's speak now to Dan Arbel, scholar in residence at the Center for Israeli Studies at the American University and a former official at the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Dan, thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. So perhaps a different conversation, different nuances in terms of those talks that Benjamin Netanyahu is having. Obviously, if we believe the Washington Post, saying one thing to Joe Biden, a different nuance in terms of what's coming out of his office today. But then he's got different audiences, hasn't he? He's got the relationship with the US. He's got his domestic audience. And of course, he's very attuned, isn't he, to what Iran is hearing?
Yes, absolutely. He's, as you've said, he's looking at all these different fronts. And I think that he is determined to order a retaliation pretty soon. And he has to consider the request by the United States or pressure by the United States to act in a more restrained manner and not to hit targets that would be that would damage U.S. interests in the region, that would lead to a spike in the prices of oil and gas. And so, but at the same time, he does need to project towards Iran some deterrence, and the fact that he is determined to retaliate over the October 1st attack, which is already 2 weeks ago.
Do you think the Washington Post has got it right then?
I think that certainly he's trying to calm the concerns in Washington. As for the exact targets that he'll select, and he probably will, it does sounds logical, but I wouldn't necessarily, it may also be partly psychological warfare or trying to confuse the enemy, so to speak, because, you know, as you've brought to this show, November 5th is right around the corner, elections in the United States. He doesn't want to rock the boat too much, but he wouldn't be too sad if Donald Trump wins, and therefore, you know, anything can, any target that he'll select, I won't be surprised, but these reports do sound credible.
And then where is the clash with UN peacekeepers going? That's potentially a source of a lot of difficulty for the Israeli Prime Minister, isn't it? And we've heard, you know, another repetition of the message from the head of the peacekeeping force this time, saying that the blue helmets will stay in place.
Yeah, so that's also an issue that he's been dealing with, and Israel has been grappling with this issue as UNIFIL, the United Nations force in southern Lebanon, is right next in close proximity to Hezbollah outposts, and Israel claims that it is interrupting its actions. You know, I think that I don't see the United Nations kind of backing away or stepping down or moving. I do see the United Nations staying in place. And therefore, I think it's more, it's warnings, but I think it's directed mostly to domestic audiences and score PR points. But I don't really think that it would lead to any change in how the UN is deployed in southern Lebanon.
But just finally and briefly, obviously there have been some tough words from Benjamin Netanyahu vis-a-vis the peacekeepers, but he doesn't really want to get into a big clash there, does he?
No, he does not. He does not. But he does want to continue with the operations in southern Lebanon. He does want to continue and capitalize on his achievements in southern Lebanon in the last few weeks, and he doesn't plan to stop anytime soon, as long as he's got these gains. And he will stop only on his own terms. So right now, this clash with the UN is a side issue to the main issue, which is continuing with a drive inside southern Lebanon to root out Hezbollah outposts and weapon, ammunition, and missile caches in that area.
OK, Dan, good to get your thoughts today. Dan Arbel from the American University.
Thank you. Have a good day.